What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this one I'm gonna give you tips and tricks on how to pick parts for your new gaming PC or just a regular PC for surfing. And yes, you can see I've done a lot of changes. I know I made some AMVs, like anime music videos. I might do more of them, I don't know. I'm just gonna mix it up like a lot. I'm gonna do how-to videos, AMVs, a lot of stuff. Yeah, let's get right into it. The first thing you have to think of, or it's actually three things that you have to get, like they're the most important ones, or the two things actually. So it's the motherboard and the CPU, because you have two sources of CPUs. You have Intel and you have AMD, and both of them require different motherboards. So if you're going for Intel, then you're gonna go for Intel motherboards. And if you're going for AMD, which I mostly recommend as a CPU, then you're going for aim for like socket motherboards. When picking a CPU, I suggest getting an AM. If you're on a budget and want more performance, want to be able to overclock, want to be free with your CPU, then I always recommend AMD. You can overclock them and everything, and I just feel like AMD is like also cheaper and stuff like that. So I would prefer AMD as a processor. So you should pick that. If you want to pick an Intel, it's like your choice. I'm not gonna say anything. If you like Intel, you like Intel. So yeah, and it depends on if you're on a budget for like maybe $500, then you should go for like budget CPUs like the 3200G from AMD, or I think it's the i3 9600F or something like that. I'm not so good at Intel CPUs, but pick a budget CPU that won't go over like $200 or less actually. And then we have to go over to the motherboard. And for motherboards, it's actually, you can cheap out a little bit on it, because most motherboards that cost a lot because of the extra features you get. So most of the times you could like get cheap motherboards for AMD and Intel for around like $800. So when you have your CPU and your motherboard, you need a RAM memory. And today's standard, like it was 2 years ago, it was like 8 gigabytes, which I have in my PC, but I think it's plenty for me. But if you're going on a budget, you should get 16 gigs of RAM, and you should get them at 3200 megahertz or more. That depends on you. So after choosing the RAM, which doesn't matter like if what brand you get, you have to choose the power supply, which will power the whole PC. And most of the times when you're going for a cheap PC, you will have to go with like 550 watts, 600 watts power supply. But don't cheap out on power supplies, because if they break, they will break your whole PC, everything you have. So if you're going cheap, don't go like with unbranded power supplies. And if you're going for like baller edition, then you can go with like a 750 watts power supply. Same with the processors. If you're going with processors like for a high price, you will have to pay like around $500 for a processor. So when you're done with the power supply, thing is optional, because if you want to game on the PC, you have to have a graphics card. If you want to edit videos, you have to have a graphics card. But if you're just gonna surf on the PC, you won't need a graphics card, and it will make your PC cheaper. But when choosing a graphics card, it actually depends on your CPU. You don't want to choose a graphics card that's too much for your CPU. You don't want to choose a cheap CPU that's too much for your graphics card. So I'm gonna link a website down here, where you can put like the brand of the graphics card and the brand of the CPU, what they're called and everything, and you can compare and see if they can match up together. It's called bottleneck when a graphics card is better than a CPU, or the CPU is better than the graphics card. When choosing a graphics card, I always recommend Nvidia, because AMD software suck. For my experience, they suck. The graphics card performs good, but sometimes for some reason when I alt tab from a program to a game, it crashes, but it still performs good in games. So I prefer Nvidia for graphics card. If you're going cheap, you can go for like a 1660 Ti or a 2060. There is a lot of choices for cheap graphics card, and if you're going baller, it should be like the 2080 or 1080 Ti. That's your choice. And then the drives. I mostly recommend having an M.2 SSD or a regular SSD and a hard drive. So you go for like 120 hertz, 120 gigabytes of SSD memory, so you can download Windows and like programs on that. If you're going cheap though, you have to get like a little bit of, as I said, like at 120 gigabytes of SSD, and then you get like a 1 terabyte hard drive. But if you're going baller, then I recommend like getting a 1 terabyte M.2 SSD, because it will like make your PC a lot snappier. It will launch your apps faster and stuff like that. It will still do it with a SSD and a hard drive, but it's better with having a full-on like M.2 SSD. And there is two sorts of them. It's SATA and then NVMe, and I recommend going for NVMe, because if you're going a SATA M.2 SSD, it's like getting a regular SSD. It's no difference. So now for the PC case, I mostly recommend, if you're on a budget, to not get a PC with a glass side, because it's like mostly like expensive. You should get something that's good enough, that has the features you need and not more than that. If you're going baller, then I recommend like going for a glass panel. I recommend going for the USB 3.0 like ports and stuff like that. You should go for the extras if you can. Same with the motherboards, by the way. If you can get it with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and stuff like that, you should get it. But if you're not going baller or going on a budget, it's no problem with like using regular motherboards that doesn't have so many features. And now the last part, it depends. If your PC comes with fans, you won't need them. But if it doesn't, you can get any fan. It doesn't matter actually. Like you can get cheap fans that doesn't have RGB, and they will perform as good as RGB fans. Some RGB fans actually perform worse. So yeah, any fan works actually. And now for like extra things you can get for your PC, and it's like compressed air for cleaning your PC, because when it gets dusty, you're gonna have to clean it, and it's gonna perform a lot better while having that. And I don't think you need anything else, to be honest. Like that was actually it. If you're building the PC yourself for the first time, you just have to be sure that you know what you're doing when you're placing the CPU in the socket and stuff like that. Because when I built my PC for the first time, I was going like, my case is so bad, so I couldn't build in it. So when I connected my SSD and I just like put it in there, because my PC case is so small, so I broke it. It bent. So yeah, you have to have someone that knows what to do when you're building the PC. So I think I covered everything you need to know, like for when you're starting to pick up a list for a PC and stuff like that. So thank you all for watching. I hope you have a good day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you like me doing how-to videos and extra stuff, I can do more. So yeah, thank you all for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.